What's up? Making another one. Well, this is the last one, for at least for today. I probably have one tomorrow. I hope. But this one is um cover of it is being alone, being separated. It's gonna be hard. Why? I got you. Title being alone would be hard, obviously, and it basically reads this. There you go. Being alone is hard, especially when you were alone for so long. It's like a drug. It's addictive until someone shows you how good it is to have their company. But if you break up or separate for however long, for however long, so y'all can work on yourself, it's not that easy because now you have to figure out how to be alone. You have to figure out how to be without that person for however long. It's especially hard when that person is all you think about, when just the tiniest things remind you of them. It's hard because in the beginning, you probably thought, man, I wish I was alone. It was so nice. But now, when you're faced with that, you change your tune. You no longer yearn to be alone. All you want, all you want is them. It's a, it's a battle, but don't give up. If you feel in your heart that they are for you. Think of being alone as a temporary thing. And I promise you, it'll fly by. But yeah, basically, like, if you end up breaking up with your significant other, and they've made it like crystal clear that they don't want anything to do with you anymore, or whatever the case may be, or if you were separated because it's like you're just not, you want to be better, or I don't know, maybe you're just lost and the person that broke up with you wasn't clear, so you're kind of just like floating around, not really knowing, what's really true or not. But I will say, I will say that all of them are basically the same in the sense of basically being alone or getting to that point where you're alone is it's hard to get it's hard to get out of, and it's hard to get back into. Because in the beginning, when you start talking to somebody, you enjoy being alone. It's peaceful. You have, like, think about when you were alone and when you were immersed in being alone and everything, and you were fine with it. Like, you were peaceful. You didn't have a worry in the world. You watched movies, you played your game, you watched anime, you did basically anything without a worry in the world. And then you started talking to somebody, and it was just, in the beginning, you know, it probably was a lot because it's the fact that you couldn't. It probably was a lot because you can't just like you can't just up and just like not message them for a while just because you were with them and whatnot. So it's the fact that you basically had to change your habit or your habits, I guess, and you had to include them in said habits. And you probably stopped doing some of the things that you enjoyed doing. So then either you stopped doing some of the things you enjoyed doing, or you didn't do those things as much because you were incorporating, you know, your the person that you're talking to in. But if y'all break up, if y'all separate, you know, if, if y'all are on a break and everything, it's definitely hard to go from. It goes back to changing your habit again, because you would think it would be easy. It's just take them out of you know what you would normally do. But the thing that's the worst thing about it is the fact of depending on depending on the circumstances, they could have been like the best thing for you, or it could have been the best thing like you've ever had. So basically trying to forget them like they were nothing is, very, very, very difficult to do. It's difficult to get back to that mindset of like being alone again. It definitely sucks. It's one of those things that sucks a lot. But one of the things I will say is, like, one of the things I said was like, think of it as being like, think of it as a temporary thing. Think of it as a, think of it as like a time that you can work on yourself and whatnot. Like, I don't know, like go to the gym, you know, work on how you talk to people. Yeah. Maybe read old messages and kind of write down things that you want to change. For when when or if they come back. And like take the time to actually take those steps to change that. You know, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be comfortable. It never is. It never is. It's one of those things where if it's easy for you to go from, oh, I'm alone and I'm fine with that, to dating someone and you changing that habit, and then y'all break up or separate, and you can easily just kind of switch from that and like kind of disconnect everything, then you didn't truly love them. Like, it's the fact that you may have loved them, but it's the fact that when I say truly love them, you didn't love them with your heart. You loved them with your head. Oh, I guess with your brain, basically, because there are two different kinds of heads. But it's the fact that you love them with your brain and not with your heart. Because I'm telling you, when you love somebody with your heart, it's a lot more. It's a different feeling. It really is. It is such a different feeling, and it's the fact of, it seems impossible, but it's the fact that if you think of it as a temporary thing, and if you can think of just like, I'm not saying make different scenarios in your head, make them like, obviously make them like what actually makes sense, but generally think about how everything went. Think about, think about what was said to you or everything. If you can, definitely, ask that person whatever it is that you need to know, obviously, but don't, bombard them with different things. But it's one of those things that it's very hard to do. It really is. The main thing being just to basically, it's like a switch for like, but it's such a hard switch to like flip on, you know. But thinking that it's a temporary thing makes it easier to flip that switch, because it's more of a, okay, with this time apart, with them, you know, dating other people or doing this, doing that, you know, it's that you can do the same, and you can sharpen, you can sharpen your whatever, or like you did a lot of this, then you'll practice not doing whatever it was that you did before. Because it goes like this: if you and another person genuinely love each other, you both will know when it's time. Like when both of you will know, well, one of you would definitely know when, because usually the one that usually breaks it off or wants to like separate, they're usually the one that isn't ready for whatever it is that is like the next step. So that could be getting married, that could be moving in, that could be moving to another state. Like it's a lot of different things it could be that they're just not ready to, they either don't believe that they're ready for, or they're just generally not ready to take that step and everything. Like there's some stuff that they have to do by themselves, which is weird when you think about it, because it's just like you're doing that, and then you go and date someone else. You know what I mean? It's it's weird. I don't like you won't be the only person that thinks that shit is weird. Trust me. It's very odd in a way, in a way. But it's the fact of just like kind of every once in a while, like send them a message, let them know that that you're still there, you're still you know making yourself better for them and everything, just because when the person that has stuff they have to do, depending on like what it is or how much it is, they could get lost in handling all of that. So it's the fact that you know so, it's the fact that some people think that like, oh, it's been however long, I'm sure that that person is moved on, or I'm sure that person hates me, or I'm sure that person you know doesn't like me anymore because of this, that, and the other. Which never made sense to me, because it's just like, it's more the fact of, you'll never know if you don't, ask. And not asking like people, not asking friends or family, but genuinely asking them. Like if it's been like 4 years or something, you know? And if you want to know if someone's like, if you want to know how, like, if anything, if you want to know like how their life is going or something, add them. You don't have to add them. If you want, you can just get their number and then just call them. Cause like most of the time, when you get a number that you don't recognize, most of the time, like a big majority of the time, people will answer it regardless. Like unless it's like a spam, unless it says like spam, like a spam call or something, then they won't answer it. But it's the fact that if it says like a genuine, like if it's a genuine like state, and it's like a genuine number and everything, then they I'm sure that they'll I'm sure they'll um I'm sure that they'll pick up and everything, just because that's just how that works. It generally is. it's just it's one of those things. Never really made sense to me, if I'm being genuinely honest. Just because you gotta talk. Like closed mouths don't get fed. Like you can't. Like, if you're hungry, say something. You know. That's it's basically the only saying that I really have that like generally makes genuine sense on like the stuff I talk about. Just because it makes sense. Like there's no way of knowing how that person is doing if you don't ask them. Because if you don't ask them, then what are you doing? Or what are you trying to do at that? It just doesn't. In the end, it doesn't really help much of anything because it's just like you think they hate you, you think they've moved on, you think this, you think that, but it's the fact that they could. Is the fact that could they have moved on? Yeah. Could they have done all those things? Yes. But it's the fact that there's still a there's still another choice of like they're waiting for you. You know, because it happened with one of my friends. Like separated because they wanted to. They separated because they wanted to do. They wanted to do a bunch like they wanted to explore their like separate paths and whatnot. And it was just like okay. And I want to say he's the one that did it. Well, he's the one that initiated the whole thing. And she's just like okay. And it's the fact that like they basically broke up or like, broke up and separated at the same time. But it's the fact that like at some point he was ready, but he just thought like, man, she's just I'm sure she's moved on already. But it's the fact that like at the time she was dating someone, but it's like you could tell it wasn't like a good relationship that she was in anyways. It's because it's one of the things I told him. I was just like, because he just never said anything, and then like it was years, and then eventually, she got married. Like keep in mind, this wasn't like it was that, and then he waited like 5 6 years, and then never called her, never said a word to her, and then he was talking to me about it one day, and I was just like, dude, all you had to do was call her or message her and like ask her like has everything has she like achieved everything that she wants to, and does she want to take the steps to being together forever with him. And he was just like, well, she was dating someone. I was like, dude, Stevie Wonder could see that that wasn't like that was just a void that she was trying to fill from you, because she was waiting on you, and she was trying to find someone that kind of could fill that void that you left. Because the fact that all you had to do was call her, message her, and it's the fact that everyone knew that she would like dump that person and be with you. All you had to do was just open your mouth and say something. That was it. That's all you had to do. But now it's just now your time has run out because you waited fucking damn near half a decade, or yeah, you damn near waited more than half a decade to say anything, and now she's just like, I'm sure in her mind she's just thinking that oh he's just not coming back, or he's moved on with someone else, or this that and the other. It's the fact that you have to say something. You're the one that basically wanted to be separated, wanted to break up, wanted to go your separate ways for the time being. It's the fact that that's not what she wanted. It's what you wanted. So it's the fact that if you're the person that initiates, like the breakup or the separation or whatever the case may be, then it's the fact that it's up to you to like say something to that person. Really, regardless. Like there are some bad responses that you could get if you are to do that, but at the same time, I will say you'll be better mentally because you won't constantly be thinking of like you won't constantly have the battle of just like did she move on or is she still waiting? Like is that her actual boyfriend or is it like a placeholder? You know, it's like the fact that you won't have these back and forth conversations in your mind. It's the fact that when you call them up or whatever the case may be, like they can say like I'm married now or this, that, and the other, and it's just like okay, and then that's it. But the other side of that coin is that you call them and they say like that they've been working on themselves. They feel so like comfortable with themselves. Like they've been like waiting for a call or a text from you. So on and so forth. It's one of those things where it's one of those things where it's just like all it takes is just talking. Literally. That's why communication is like one of the big three, because it's it solves a lot. It really does. Just simply talking about whatever it is solves so much. Like, what do you think? Like, when people go to like couples therapy, like, what do you think that is? That's literally talking, but with a ref. And basically, it's just like if you interrupt if you interrupt like the person, then the therapist is just like they're talking. Let them talk. Da 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 da. And that's the whole point. Literally, it's talking with a ref. Like there's nothing else to that. It's simply just that. But yeah, it's just the main thing. Damn, I fucking got way off topic. But yeah, when it comes to being alone, it's definitely hard. I'm currently going through it now, but it definitely does get better. Obviously, like it does get better, and it's the fact that she did say it does get better, and she's right. Like of course, I don't think there's been a time that she's been wrong. I don't think. I don't know. There are times that she's been wrong. When she calls herself a bad mom, when she says she's just some woman, like she's just some like just random, just like she's just some like run of the mill everyday woman. Like there's a lot of things about herself that are wrong. At least that she says about herself that I would say otherwise because they're not. Like she's wrong for how she talks about herself. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it does get easier, but at the same time is if in your heart you feel if you feel like you can't love anyone else, that will always be there. I don't really know if that ever subsides or goes away, if I'm being honest, but it's the fact that you'll know if that feeling, if you love whoever it is, for men or women, if you love that person, is the fact that like if you do somehow, like start dating someone else, it just seems weird. It just doesn't seem. It seems off. Or like if you're not, if you just don't plan on dating anyone like me, it's just like when you look at other women, it's just like you're just like, eh, whatever, you know. Like it's just like you're just not like you're just like your face just doesn't show any emotion. You're just like, oh, like whatever. That's when you know. I feel like that's when you know that that person meant for you. Because it's like, that's why I say the whole like temporary thing. Because you want to keep, it's the fact that you want to keep the whole point of like separation. Breaking up is self-explanatory, but like separation is more or less like, we're gonna like separation, postponement, stuff like that. Like words and phrases like that. It's just like, it's basically meaning like we're not gonna be together for the time being. We'll be together at some point, but as of right now, we're just like not together, you know. But it's the fact of you will be at some point. So it's the fact of you have to basically, you just have to trick your mind, no matter how long it is. You have to keep tricking your mind into thinking that, you know, tomorrow will be the day. That's what you gotta do. It's like you just gotta take it one step. You gotta take it one step at a time. Like don't focus on the future. Focus on the present. There's the fact that always think like tomorrow's the day. The next day. The next day. The next day. Keep going with that, because then you'll be able to actually work on yourself, work on the flaws that you may have, work on your health, work just there's a lot of things you can work on that you couldn't really work on if you're constantly thinking of them like 24/7. Like how I couldn't do anything. Literally, you would have thought I was paralyzed or something, because I didn't do anything. But now I'm just I'm just taking it one step at a time. Like that's just what you have to do. One step at a time. Just one day. Just the next, the next, the next. You know. It is the fact that one of those days when you say, oh, it could be the next day. It's the fact that it could be. That's the joy. That's the joy of it. Like make it a game or something. Like maybe it's the next day. Because it's like there's percentages. It's like it could be 50, it could be 50-50 one day, could be it could be 50-50, could be 25 75, could be 5-95. It's there are different percentages for everything. So it's just fact that like make it a game, make it where it's like something that drives you to keep going every day. And I'm sure at some point it will happen. At some point. At some point, you'll get that message, you'll get that text message, or you'll get that call, or you'll cross paths with them, or like you'll see them in like a post, or you'll see them like in a video, or you'll see them in person, when you like go to the beach or a club or whatever the case may be. Like you'll definitely see them again, and it's just like what is it's just how that works and everything. So, but yeah, it's pretty much all I got. I do apologize for me like basically going like just so far left. It's crazy. I just started talking about something completely unrelated, so I do apologize for that. Obviously, we're doing good on views. It's the fact that it's like it's constantly one person. It went from like 6 every 3 days to like I want to say this is the longest streak that there has ever been. Like I want to say since my first video that I made of this, I think it was like what was it? Actually see. It was like why? It was like, let me see. It was, God damn, what the, oh my God. What is going on? Ever since, goodness, ever since Vent Sesh 3, February 26th, there has been at least one view on, you know, each video until now. That I didn't even see that. Holy shit. What to Do has 89 views. And Here We Go has 76. Holy shit. I don't want to say like I said last last what was it? Like last night with my last video, like I appreciate the views, I really do, because it's the fact that they get pushed, like they reach further out towards people. Like they reach out more. Like the more views you have on a video, the farther of a reach that they have. So it's the fact that I appreciate if people are actually watching them, or if they're watching like the first like 10 seconds, or if they're like tapping it, then deleting it, then tapping it again, and then just doing the views like that. But that is insane. What to Do damn near has almost has 100 views. That is insane. And then Here We Go has 76. Holy, that is insane. That's crazy to me. 76 and 89 views. What the fuck? The fact that I can't see views is annoying, if I'm being genuinely honest. Just because I would love to like say thank you to each individual like viewer, if I'm being honest, because that's crazy. Like, what the hell? That is actually insane. Choco Sips. Thanks for the heart puff? Appreciate the heart puff. Thanks for the chili, thanks for the rose, thanks for the corn, thanks for the lightning bolt, thanks for the goat. Damn, how many coins do you have? Goodness. My god. Lil RT, what's up? That's insane to me. Almost nothing much. Just chilling. But yeah, that's pretty much all I really have to really say. I'll do more. I'll do at least a post tomorrow, so definitely look out for that. But yeah, I'll definitely talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.